Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. If you watched last week's podcast, you may be surprised to see me here this week, given that I was supposed to be coming into a very large sum of money, care of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The vast majority of you were in on the little Nigerian spam email thing. Spam, scam, it's both, I guess. There were a few of you who were genuinely concerned that I might have fallen for this scam and told me, don't do it, don't do it. Or either that or you were like taking the joke to the next level and spinning it back on me. But just so you know, I get so many of these. In fact, I counted just yesterday, my spam filter caught 13 of these messages from different places. There's the Nigerian thing, COVID relief fund, something else from Interpol. I don't know what that was all about. But I think in total, just in the past day, if I got all that money, it's somewhere, oh gosh, it's got to be $200–300 million. And I don't know how my email address wound up out there. I think what happened is when I set up my consulting business website, there was a contact form. And I was constantly getting messages on that from Russian addresses, .ru. And it must have been something at some point, I don't know if I responded to one of them, I don't know, who knows. But somehow my business email got out and about, and now I get a ton of these messages. Or it's entirely possible that they made my Nigerian beef suya recipe, which I'll link to up here, and thought it was so good they actually wanted to give me $10.5 million. Who knows? Now I've got some good stuff, I think, this week in this podcast, and I'm not really sure where to start because all of it seems kind of good. I suppose the least interesting is that I started the Wim Hof cold shower thing as part of my 24 and 21 February edition. That would be addition, ADD, not addition, ED. ITION. I suppose if you're going to say ED, you better finish the spelling. Regardless, I can tell you that a cold shower will wake you up. I mean, there was not a bit of sleepy on me anymore by the time I finished that shower. And I'll talk more about that as we get deeper into the month. But I do think I probably need to take my InstaRead thermometer into the shower with me just to see how cold it is. I have a feeling that the temperature may not actually be as cold as I think it is. I think maybe I'm just a little bit of a wimp, when it comes to cold water. I'm not really a wimp when it comes to cold temperatures. If I were, I wouldn't be in Wisconsin. But I need to confirm just how cold that water actually is. And then I suppose what I can do is see if I can't keep getting it colder and colder and determine, what is my tolerance. I'll have to look up what temperature Wim recommends. But one day in, I can tell you that is an invigorating experience. So I had an interesting experience at Costco last week or the week before. I don't remember exactly. But I had a flat tire, had to take my car into Costco Tire, and then Courtney and I decided we would just wander around looking at stuff and wait for my tires to get done. Costco can be kind of a fun place to explore. I mean, normally when I go there to shop, and I'm a hunter when it comes to shopping. I mean, I get in, I get my stuff, I get out. So to be able to wander around and then, also spend some quality time with Courtney was kind of fun. One of the things that I saw, and this isn't quite yet the interesting part of the story, but one of the things that I saw, and I'll put a picture right here, are these pig wings. They are pork shanks, bone in, and they're kind of like, it's sort of a cross between a little drumstick and a rib, except it's more tender than rib meat. You cook them up in the air fryer, they're really pretty awesome and totally keto. So if you're looking for these at your Costco, they're found in the refrigerated section that has the doors on it. So like the frozen refrigerated section, I guess that would be the freezer section. That's where you'll find it, next to all the other meat type objects. But right after we had gotten through the freezer section and we were over by where the coffee is, my phone rang and it was Costco Tire. And they had to give me some details on what they were doing with my tires and stuff like that. And while I'm on the phone with them, I don't have to act, I can be like this. So while I'm on the phone with them, I see out of the corner of my eye a woman talking to Courtney. And, I don't know what it's about. It could be like, oh, I love your hair, or I love your purse, or, Courtney gets those sort of things fairly often. But I end my call with Costco Tire, and I turn over, and the woman points at me. Now, bear in mind, we're all wearing masks. Points at me and says, "Serious keto." I don't know that that's ever going to be something that I get used to. Anyhow, she recognized Courtney first, I think, from her hair. And maybe we had just released a video the day before or something like that, so it was fresh in her mind. But we got talking, it was really kind of fun. And I had asked her what her YouTube name was so that I could throw a shout out, and she said that she doesn't leave comments or anything like that, so she didn't tell me what her YouTube username was. I probably should have asked her what her actual name was, at least first name, that way I could say, hello. But I'll just say it like, "Hello, ma'am. It was a pleasure meeting you. That was a lot of fun." So this is now, I believe, the third or fourth time that I've been recognized out in public. And like I said, I don't know if it's something I'll get used to. It feels very surreal to me, for lack of a better word. I don't see myself as being a celebrity or anything like that. But it's cool, and maybe one of these days, at some point in the future, when we're not wearing masks all the time anymore, maybe I get recognized some more. I don't know. In the meanwhile, if you see somebody that kind of looks like me, from here on up, and then I'm wearing a Super Mario Brothers mask, that's probably me. Especially if I'm also wearing a Serious Keto t-shirt. Also probably me. One topic that has been in, I think, the last 2 podcasts has been about my annual physical and my lipid profile and my interaction with my doctor via a nurse or physician's assistant. I'm not sure. I don't apparently get to talk to my doctor outside of when I'm in a room with him. But I had my initial lipid panel, and every number was great. All the ratios were great. My triglycerides were great. My HDL was great. My HDL to triglycerides ratio was great. My HDL to total cholesterol was great. But then there was the LDL. And that, of course, set off the alarms. So my doctor requested that I have a cardiac scoring test, and I said, okay, but then I also want an NMR lipid profile. All of those numbers came back great as well. It confirmed that my LDL was just a tiny bit, like a third or less of it was the dense LDL, the small dense stuff that you don't want to have, and the other was sort of the big fluffy particles. So that's good. So then last week I took the calcium cardiac calcium scoring thing. It's a CT scan, and it's over pretty quickly. Anyhow, got the results back, and my score is 3, which puts me in the minimal to almost no risk category. So the nurse or PA, whoever it was that gave me a call, basically said that my doctor told her to tell me that I need to just watch what I eat, exercise more, and come back in 6 months. And I think at that time, I'm probably gonna have a little fun. I'm gonna try out the Feldman protocol from Cholesterol Code. It's supposed to be a way that you can sort of manipulate your LDL for the sake of this test. Might be fun to try. I'll have to see. I'll have to see if my mood is more of a non-confrontational, let's just get this test over sort of mood, or if I actually want to instigate an LDL discussion with my primary care physician. I don't know. I don't know if there's any upside to that. So with that, we will take a very brief ad break, and I will be right back. It's a little over 6 weeks until my 53rd birthday. And for much of my life, each birthday was kind of a bad thing, in my opinion, because I looked at myself, I looked at my life and how things had gone the past year, but most of all, I looked at myself physically and just thought, this is getting worse. This is not a good thing here that's going on. But that kind of changed last year. At 52, I was probably in the best health that I had been in easily 20 years, if not longer. I did a little bit of a backslide in 2020. I think a lot of people put on the quarantine 15, and I was no exception. But I'm going to put some serious effort into taking care of that by my 53rd birthday. I know how to do it. It's just, I need to just start being a little bit more diligent in tracking my carbs. I think that's a big part. And then just eliminate wine with dinner. Honestly, I think that's pretty much all it's going to take. But as sort of a way to encourage myself and just to remind myself of what Fat Steve looks like, what I'm going to do is every podcast between now and my birthday, I'm going to include a picture from some point in the last 20 years of Fat Steve to share with you. I will start with this one right here. This was one of my many attempts to get in shape. The whole eat less, exercise more sort of thing. This was from 2015. Look at that guy. That wasn't even much of a workout to make me sweat that much. In fact, I may have just like washed dishes or something like that. I was a sweaty dude back then. That's also one of the reasons you won't see me growing a beard again until I get a little bit more gray, because there's a lot of gray in that beard. Still, pretty crazy to think that guy right there is 7 years younger than this guy right here. Keto is some good stuff. I have a fairly long story to tell at the end of this podcast, so before I do that, I want to cover last week's Easter egg because it sort of dovetails in, because we'll do last week's Easter egg. You've probably already noticed what this week's Easter egg is, and that then will segue into the final topic. So last week's Easter egg, this is I don't know if this is a dinosaur or an alligator. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It's got legs. Well, I guess both alligators and dinosaurs have legs, so that's not the giveaway right there. But this was my son Connor's stuffed animal from when he was a little boy. Came from Build-A-Bear, got the Packer jersey on, Packer pants. Clearly didn't help us in that game last week. But now it's Colton's, and Colton likes to feed him. This week's Easter egg is my 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. So I don't know if you can read it right there, but it says, "Presented to Serious Keto for passing 100,000 subscribers." And I thought I was going to be more excited about it. In fact, I had thought even about doing an unboxing video, but I thought that might be a little bit gratuitous, and plus I didn't know how I'd react. I'd feel like I had to be super excited when I opened it and be, oh wow, it's amazing. And I didn't have that feeling. And I don't know why. I think part of it could be I'm still in a little bit of a state of disbelief that all of this has happened, that Serious Keto happened. I'm so grateful that it did, but often it still feels like I'm in a bit of a dream. I'll have to figure out where in my office to put that. I was also thinking about getting something, up on the wall, maybe a series of frames or a big frame that's got like smaller frames inside it. And in that, I would get some good logos printed out, both for Serious Keto, for Lean Body Mind, which is going to be my next little startup eventually, I hope, for my consulting company. So I'd have those 3 logos, and then I've got my trademark certificates, my registered trademark certificates for each of those. I thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to put up on the wall, and then, have this right in the center. I'll probably wind up going to a framing shop and find out that's way more money than I want to spend, and then I'll just get like a little easel and set this on it. And that brings me to my podcast closing story. 3 years ago, last Monday, I was laid off from my job at GE Healthcare. I went home and wrote a little blog about it out on LinkedIn that wound up going viral. I think it's been viewed about 165,000 times already. It'd be great if one of my videos would get viewed that much. I don't know if any of them have. That apple cider vinegar one, that one has got to be getting up there. It seems like I get comments on that every day. And the gist of this article was how a month or 2 earlier, a woman who used to work for me called me up because she had been laid off and asked me my advice. And I gave her my advice, which was, be happy. Embrace the change, because you're going to wind up someplace better. That seems to be always the case. When you're laid off and you look back on it, you realize that you weren't nearly as happy as you thought you were. But you didn't have the courage to make the move on your own. And this event transpired, and now you're forced to make the change. And I ended it by saying, today I got laid off and now I need to follow my own advice. The next day I went to Costco and I bought a bottle of Dom Perignon. It's a 2009, which I guess is a pretty good year. According to what I looked up, the weather was unprecedented in France for this particular vintage. And I set this in my office as a reminder that I would open it one day when I felt I had made it. I didn't know what made it would look like. I didn't know if that meant starting my own consulting company or getting a job as a director of continuous improvement someplace other than GE, or what. I certainly didn't expect it to be a YouTube channel, but I felt like I would know it when I got there. And I went so far as to actually chill the bottle because I thought I would open the plaque, I'd feel this enormous sense of, yes, I've made it, I'm big now. And I didn't feel that way. So I didn't pop the cork. And I'm not sure when I will pop that cork. Because while hitting 100,000 subscribers I'm so grateful for it. And having this plaque is super cool. And having all of you watch me or listen every week is such a cool sensation. I still feel like there's a lot left to do. I think there's a lot more to come for Serious Keto. And maybe at some point I'll feel it. I'll feel like I've done what I set out to do, that I have achieved my dream or whatever it is. But for now, I'll just keep living the dream. I'm having a lot of fun here, and I'm having a lot of fun because all of you are here with me. So, as always, thanks for watching or listening.